Well, a very good afternoon. If you're in Estonia, it's still the morning in UK. We are here for the last day of action in Otepaeae, and this, of course, is the first time that the Biathlon World Cup has ever been here. So it's been a bit of a special occasion. We've seen some fantastic racing so far. We've got a mixed relay and a single mixed relay still to come. We started off with the 4x7.5 mixed relay. I think having watched the cross-country in Falun, a lot of the athletes will feel they've been short-changed having to race over 7.5, particularly the women who normally in a relay would go over 6. So lots of discussion to be had about that. The fans will enjoy every second they see. They've had a really good time this week. Beautiful weather, absolutely stunning. And of course, they're right on the Russian border here. So everyone's thoughts with what is going on in Ukraine and Russia. And this is just a little bit of light relief. Nice to see Ukraine represented yesterday in the sprint races at the start of this week, and of course Russia and Belarus having to miss out. Now, Mike, we haven't had many mixed relays this year. Obviously one prior to the Christmas break, and then one at the Olympic Games, which was won by Norway. Roysland, Eckhoff, Bø and Bø. The teams look very different today.
They certainly do. The Norwegian team with Bakken, although Bakken is improving, it appears, with each race. And Christensen, he can do no wrong. And there she is, Tyrell Eckhoff on leg 3. So it's still, and Tandrevold on the anchor leg, it's still a very, very strong Norwegian team.
Now tell me, is the gum that Eckhoff chews, is that nerves or is it something else?
I think it's just to calm her down. She's quite a high-octane athlete, so she just tries to calm herself down. I know that yoga has helped her, but she tries to just calm down before the race.
Team 3 of Sweden, Nellin, Ponsaloma, Persson, Öberg. They've put Samuelsson and Hannah Öberg on the single mix, so they're missing out. Elvira Öberg gets to take the anchor leg for Sweden. That will be strong. If they're 30 seconds behind, I think she'll enjoy the chase. Benny Dahl, who's so good in the first half of the mass start yesterday, and then missed too many in the stand to be competitive. Denise Herman, Mike, what a finish to the season she's had.
It's quite incredible. She said on the flight to Beijing, to the Olympic Games, she needed to calm down. It was thinking time on the flight, and actually she started relaxing instead of chasing results, and they came. She won that gold medal in the individual.
The Estonian, the local team, wearing bib number 10, Sime Ermits. We've got Kulm and Talimelm. And if they finish top 10, they've done pretty well. 20 teams in all entered. The USA wearing bib number 20. They missed out on the first of the mixed relays, which was in Oberhof, that counted towards points. So we've had one mixed, one single mixed. We have a mixed and a single mixed here. So at the end of today, we will know which nation has won the trophy for the mixed relays. Russia lead at the moment, Belarus in second. They won't finish there. The best chance really, I think, going to Norway and Sweden. A good couple of races from Sweden. They're only 2 points behind the Norwegians. So I'm going to put my money on Sweden at this stage.
Yes, interesting. Elvira Öberg just saying how confident she is in her stand shooting and just saying it's so easy. Often when athletes say that, somehow there's a subliminal kickback. I really hope she hasn't spoiled her anchor leg today, but she has been so secure lately, those last 5 shots, all the time getting them.
Yeah, and she was brilliant yesterday to win the mass start. Elvira Öberg, she still stays number 2 in the rankings. Has a chance of catching Roysland. It's a slim one, though. Let's have a look at the course, 4x3 by 2.5. And yeah, it's quite a tough course.
It is, and that 32-meter climb comes within, what, the first 600 meters. So it looks quite easy when you're viewing up the hill here, but it really is quite a test.
7 degrees and getting warmer still in the stadium. It's 1:30, coming up to 1:30 local time. So I guess in about an hour and a half's time, the temperature will start to drop again. So the conditions could be a little firmer for the single mixed relay later on today. That's Sivert Guttorm-Bakken. He's on very good form. Bakken, Christiansen, Eckhoff and Tandrevold. Royslund has been, I was just looking to see whether she was in the Norwegian team for the single mixed relay. She's racing with Sturlaholm Ligrid. So they'll give the Swedes a run for their money. Well, there you have the teams. Who are you going for, Mike?
Well, I think the Norwegians are the tough team to beat. And I'm just wondering, you mentioned Team 20, the United States. They will have heard about the mixed relay over in Falun, the World Cup cross country. And I think that's a good US team with Doherty, Brown, Reed and Irwin. They'll be hoping for a top 5 at best.
Athletes making their way out towards the start line. Bakken goes for Norway, Detieu for France. The French have got a strong start, Mike. Detieu and Phil-Maillet. Phil-Maillet has secured the overall trophy. No one can catch him now. He's more than 180 points clear with just 3 races to go in Oslo next week. So most of the Crystal Globes have found a home. The women's overall hasn't quite, but Elvira Erdberg is going to have to be on fire when she goes to Oslo. Any chance for Finland?
Finland, I think the anchor legs, well, Mari Eder, she was better in the mass start than she was in the sprint, and Kunanen on the anchor leg, well, she was 73rd in the sprint race, missing 4 targets, so she needs to hit targets because she is a fast skier.
Hoffa Vitozzi doing the single mix, so the Italian team not as strong as it could be. Ries, Doll, Voigt and Hermann. Germany are putting their money on this race. They've got Lesser and Preutz, still pretty good combination, and in fact Lesser and Preutz are both on very good form. So I think Germany have got a chance certainly of finishing on the podium, but both possibly winning both relays today. There's your Swedish team. If Erdberg is within sight of the leaders when she takes over at the end of this one, she's got a chance. Hot favourites for many, the French. Silver in the Olympics, and I was just trying to think where they finished in Oberhof. They were outside the top 8. It was Russia who won on that occasion ahead of Austria. And the Austrians, they've gone for their age-old combination on the single mix, Mike, of Simon Eder and Theresa Hauser.
Yes, it's been a very successful duet, so they're sticking to the reliability in terms of fast shooting and accurate shooting.
So 4 by 7.5. The women are pushing up the distance, doing exactly what they do in a sprint race, not the relay. So Norway wearing 1, France in 2, 3 is Sweden, Germany 4, Italy with Thomas Bormolini starting 5, Finland wearing 6, 7 is the Czech Republic, 8 Austria, Poland 9, and Estonia wearing 10, making up the first 4 rows, and 20 teams in all. The last mixed relay of the season. Crystal Globes at stake later this afternoon in the single mixed relay. They look as though they're primed for a fast start, and they're away. Good start from Sivert Guttorm-Bakken of Norway on the near side. You desperately want to be in the top 3 or 4 coming out of the range here. And then they break to the left, and then they start climbing pretty soon. So anyone who pushes the pace too hard over the first 200, Mike, could pay the price as the climbing starts.
Yes, and so many of the athletes just saying how tough these tracks are, also with the profile, but especially now with the spring snow just becoming that little wetter, so more suction, less glide underneath the base of the skis. But they are enjoying the sunshine and the warm weather.
In terms of ski preparation, you know, the temperature at 7 degrees, the snow obviously 0 and below, depending on whether you're in the woods or out in the sunshine. How does it compare to when it's 0 degrees or when it's very cold, like we saw in Beijing?
Yes, well, you definitely need more structure, so more runoff to get the humidity, get the water build up, the fluid build up under the skis, wick it away as quickly as you can, and that assists the glide. And of course, last year, the fluorocarbon waxes, when it's as wet as this, were the waxes to use. And the technicians this year have had to rethink things through, looking at structures. That's the wicking of the humidity off the base of the skis, but also trying to find the new best waxes that are not fluorocarbons to make the skis glide.
Yeah. And I dare say some fluorocarbons have been used throughout the season.
Well, two teams were fined, weren't they, by the IBU, deemed to be using fluorocarbons, and it is a huge advantage.
Was that not along the lines of when they used to test the small teams for doping rather than the big teams?
I think you're right. So it was 2 small fry nations that were fined for using, but there is no accurate test. They're trying to come up with the wax manufacturers are trying to come up with a test to see if there is any fluorocarbon on the base of your ski.
Yeah, after calling them small fry, I think you'd better not name them.
Yes. Yeah.
2 of the minor nations. And I suspect that most teams have some fluorocarbons in the box. But having said that, they've been doing a lot of testing with the new waxes, and they're pretty much holding their own. So it's forced the manufacturers into developing new, more environmentally friendly waxes, and that can only be a good thing.
Yes, totally support that. And I had no idea when I was using fluorocarbon in the early days and all the way through my career, how bad it is for you, the person using the stuff, and for the environment. I had no idea, but it's horrible stuff.
How many trees have you planted to make up for it?
Oh, guilt forever. But the fumes when you're waxing, and in the early days, we didn't know you should have a mask on, that you should not be taking in any of those fumes at all. So I do think for 17 years of using that stuff, it can't be good for you.
We'll wait and see the effects as they go through the 1.2. Bakken looking pretty comfortable, to be honest. Nothing's gone ballistic so far. There are the Americans. News of America's success in Farland would have reached Otepaeae by now, and they're a team that respond when, you know, the biathlon do well, the cross-country tend to raise the game, and vice versa.
Yes, and I think it's today with the men going first. Yes, it's normal for men in the relay to do 7.5, but the women, in my calculation, the women in the stronger teams, Eckhoff and Tandervold, will lose between 3 and 3:45 minutes to their male athletes in their team. But the weaker teams, those margins grow. So it's, for me, on paper, it disadvantages the less strong teams, because the female athletes in the less strong teams on paper are skiing up to 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes slower compared to the male athletes in their teams.
Yeah, but one team in theory it could benefit is Italy. Had they gone for Vitozzi and Dorothea Vera, or Vitozzi still a bit of a question mark, but actually her relay results this year have been brilliant. It's just her individual results, and if you took away the first shoot, she would have been right up there in the top 5 of the World Cup.
She would, and I was a little surprised that Vera has not either joined the single mixed relay, which comes up later. It's Hofer and Vitozzi, and I think that will be a good and successful combination.
Yeah, Dorothea Vera this year is up to 6th in the overall standings. No medical news coming out, but perhaps just feeling a little worse for wear. What she had two results outside the top 20, so things haven't been going brilliantly since the Olympic Games. She did have a good race in Kontiolahti.
The teams are still pretty close, Patrick. 20 teams within 12 seconds, although the stronger teams just opening up on this descent a little.
Well, the fans have certainly enjoyed this. Just wondering whether you feel the tour will be back, Mike. with the investment put into the stadium to raise it up to World Cup level. You know, there will be some contract that says we'll be here, what is it, twice in the next 5 seasons or something. I'm not quite sure what the deal is, but I wonder whether it's going to prove to be as popular as Annecy, where all the athletes are keen to return.
Yes, and I'm pleased to say that Annecy in December this year, they have the slot before the Christmas break.
So shoot number 1 in the mixed relay. Each athlete, as you'll know, shooting twice, first in the prone, then in the stand. Little breeze from the coming over that left-hand shoulder.
Well, Slovenia, they went for the rapid-fire first 2 shots, missed both of them, and now slowed down a little.
Bakken of Norway really taking his time in lane 1, but it hasn't paid off. He's thrown 4 wide. The French, as has seemed to be the way this year, clearing 5 out of 5. Detieu will be could be the first out of the range. It's going to be close. Bulgaria shooting well. That's no spares required from them. Poland likewise. And Sweden with 2 spares required. That shooting is not good, Mike, when we compare it to the mass start yesterday, where 19 of 30 shot the perfect score on the first shoot without any spares.
This is incredible. Germany going on the penalty look for one penalty look for Germany. The wind has picked up, Patrick, from the left compared to just, what, 20 minutes ago when the zeroing finished, and that's what's really put so many of the athletes off.
Yeah, it's what a windsurfer would call a cross-off wind. It's sort of blowing left to right essentially, but also blowing from back to front. Now, when the wind is going down the range, Mike, what requirement, what sight change is necessary then?
Yes, that drops the fall of the shot, as we saw with Bakken there, drops it low, so you need to lift the sights up.
Just like a javelin, a headwind tends to make it rise. Backwind pushes it down. The ski jumpers know all about that. Well, the pace seems to have slowed a little. Is this fatigue or is it the softer conditions? You can see how the tracks have taken a much bigger hit today than the previous 3 days of racing. And France with Simon Detieu out front. They've got the world #1 on their second leg. That's Quentin Fillon-Maillet, who's had an astonishing 14 podium finishes this year. We've only had 19 races, so he has been on blistering form. Three out front, followed by a group of 3, then 2, and the pace up front does look to be pretty stiff at the moment.
Well, my apologies. I thought Roman Rees was on the penalty loop, but it seems as if it was just this issue here he had with his magazine and trying to get, well, there the spare round fell out, so the graphics did indicate he was on the penalty loop, but he's managed to clear. You can just feel with the tempo, Patrick, there's tired legs, but it is deceptive. This climb, it's a 30-meter rise from the range up to this high point in just 600-700 meters. Only one team on the penalty loop, Makarov. Team 15 on the penalty loop, Moldova.
Well, quite a contrast, Mike, between this race and the 4x5 we've just seen in Falun, where it was absolutely 100% from the gun.
Yes, more endurance this, isn't it? And then, of course, the stop on the range and the spare rounds used. Only what, 3-4 teams after the first shoot didn't need spare rounds, and that's unusual. So that the wind from the left really did affect most of the biathletes.
Now the relatively easy descent down into the stadium. in terms of course design. Much harder when you drop down and have to climb back up to the range. Trying to think of the venues we go to, Mike, that have the hardest approach. Antolz always springs to mind, but that's largely due to the altitude.
It is the altitude, and we saw that at the Olympics as well, didn't we? Racing the highest point of the track there was over 1,700 meters. A very easy descent down into the range, but the athletes with the dry air, that thin air, they didn't manage to get their breathing under control. So it was a very tough range in the end at the Olympic Games, as it is in Antolz. But as soon as you get your pulse rate down, your breathing's under control when the pulse rate's down. So I think we'll see as the race progresses some faster shooting and certainly more accurate shooting.
So Norway ahead of France, ahead of Slovakia. No one or two people thinking Slovakia might do quite well today. Michael Shima has done exceptionally well. Bakken, Mike, he's on a rich vein of form at the moment. His first podium in the mass start. What did he shoot? 0-0 and then missed one on the first stand. He was only 15 seconds off the win. So he knows that if he'd shot the same as Christiansen, his teammate, he would have been in the running for the win.
So it's so touch and go, isn't it, this sport? Mazet's looking relaxed. Jean-Marc is looking anxious for the Swedish team.
So the three leaders with a little bit of grace. Last split point they went through. It was just short of the 10-second mark. First shoot in the standing position. Komat, Stolder, Buta are there for Austria, Switzerland and Romania. Bakken, one spare required in the prone. He could do with 5 out of 5 here. Hit 9 out of 10 in the stand yesterday in the mass start. A rare miss from Detur, throwing that first one wide, but the second and third go down. Slovakia yet to miss. Shima, if he can get out with the leaders, could hold on. He could have the lead to himself. No, he throws that fifth one wide. No one clear so far. Finland have a chance, but they miss number 4. Romania could go 5 with 5. No, they miss as well. And the top 7 teams all missing. Poland in real trouble. 3 targets, 3 rounds remaining. Otherwise, they're on the penalty loop. And the French 1-1, but they avoid the embarrassment of going around that 150-meter loop. But some 20 seconds thrown away by France there. And surprisingly, despite the misses, Bakken of Norway is out first. And a real contrast to the shooting standard we saw yesterday.
That was quite amazing. Yes, Poland, 2 penalty loops. And again, Roman Rees struggling. He's got 2 spare rounds, 2 targets to drop.
Well, he's starting to think whether the end-of-season celebrations started early last night.
I was thinking the same thought. Is it fatigue? I don't think the wind indicates the shooting, the amount of missed shots that we're witnessing today.
Yeah, Italy are in trouble. Germany avoid it. But a penalty loop for the Italians. The Czech Republic losing a little bit of ground. Poland have got to go around twice, so that's an extra 300 meters for them. Masa Zawol on the first leg, then Gunka, Zbliot and Kamila Zuk taking the last leg. So I don't think we're going to see too much more of Poland after those mistakes early doors. I was going to say, Mike, at the start of this race, after yesterday's shooting, any penalty loops puts you out of a chance of the win, but I think I have to reconsider.
Yes, it's been difficult for all of them.
Up the climb for the 3rd time and the last time. They'll be glad of that. It is brutal, and when the conditions are as soft as this, just that little bit harder. Bakken has a bit of space. That's a healthy looking lead.
That's an incredible breakaway from Bakken. He only had 2.9 seconds as he exited the range, so he really has put the pace on, and he still is pressing hard there with the pace.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of competition to get in the Norwegian team next year. Dale coming back to form. He had real back problems last year, Mike. And, you know, missed some of the summer training, some of the harder sessions because of it. It's had a dire effect on his performances this year.
And just Dale, when he found his winning ways and mentally and physically felt better, he got COVID, so at the end of the season, what a pity. I think he would have been brought into the World Cup in Oslo had that not been the case.
Switzerland wearing 12. Sebastian Stalder will be handing over to Benny Vega for nearly the last time. Benny Vega, one of those that has announced he is hanging up his skis at the end of this season. We'll miss him as we watch back and through the 6.2 kilometre mark. Each leg 7.5, so 1,300 metres to go. A lot of that is downhill, so I can't see him getting caught now.
That's quite a margin. So Bakken had 2.9 seconds. He's now moved that, pressed that up to 15 seconds.
Do we consider him for the overall next year? I'm not sure he's done quite enough or been quite consistent enough to challenge that. But in this sort of form, he can give anyone a run for his money. Or do you think Phil Maillet will make it 2 in a row?
I'm not sure. Phil Maillet, having had such incredible success, we saw him last year strong as well throughout the whole season, but he's found his winning ways this year. It's going to be tough to replicate that again, but I think that Bakken, with his recent, prior to the Olympics, his 5th position, and then Contiolati 4th in the sprint, and 3rd yesterday, those are his 3 best results, and in his 3 most recent races. So he really has found his way this season at the end of the season.
Germany trailing. Roman Rees has had a bit of a nightmare out there. He was 5th in the sprint earlier this week, so I thought maybe he would be the man leading in at the end of the first leg. And actually 15th in the mass start, which is okay. He only missed 1, but today really struggled with the rifle. Bakken has missed 3 in all, so he's used 3 spare rounds, but he's still got a lead. At the last count, it was 15 seconds. 13 seconds quicker than anyone over the first 1,200 metres of this loop.
Incredible, and Bakken has opened up a further 15 seconds on Roman Rees, and that puts the German team 105 behind, and well, Benny Doll is going to have to push hard. He always does, but he's going to have to dig a little deeper. Vanessa Voigt on leg 3 and Herman on the anchor leg. It's a very strong team coming up.
Yeah, and with Christiansen on the next leg, Mike, it'd be interesting to see whether Christiansen can cope when he's on the second leg rather than the anchor leg, where he is probably your #1 choice for the anchor leg in a relay.
Oh, very much, and it will be different for Christiansen. It's a different position. He's really created that anchor leg as his own now, hasn't he, in the Norwegian team, but he finds himself in second leg this time.
So Christiansen is ready to go. And during the second leg, we'll come up with the world's best relay teams, men and women's, or perhaps the best mixed relay team that you could field. Christiansen, I suspect, might be in there, especially with the current ski speed that he's been showing. So Norway are away, and 18.4 was the margin at 6.9. Have France managed to close it at all? Well, no. Another 0.1 given away. Phil Maillet now on course for them. Austria get underway with Felix Leitner, who's been very, very strong this season. He's had a good season, and he is chasing Sweden, who have Ponsaloma on course. There goes Benny Vega. Way above predicted levels for Romania. George Buter's had a good run. Now it's up to Raoul Flore to try and maintain that. 16 Bulgaria. We got USA down in 10th, 1 minute and 1 behind. Sean Doherty has handed over to Jake Brown. Joanne Reed and Deidre Owen racing. Susan Dunkley not in an American relay team. And Germany, well, they've got trouble, Mike. What can they do from here? Benny Doll is now on course.
Yes, they certainly do. That's a huge margin deficit. Interestingly as well, Roman Rees, he didn't go around the penalty loop, but he did use 5 of his spare rounds, and that absorbed so much time. And then he was tired on the track on that last 2.5.
Christiansen with a win yesterday. Remember, he took the bronze medal in the Olympic mass start, so it was no real surprise to see him getting a win. He had 2 wins, 8 podiums this year, and that is why he is up to 4th place in the overall standings. He's only 2 points behind Seb Samuelsson as we go into the final week of the season. But with 3 races in Oslo, there's a lot of opportunity for things to go wrong. The only man who's safe is Biathlon, who cannot be touched. Second leg of the mixed relay, men, women, women. And that's something that's alternated over the years. I like the cross-country idea, Mike, of women, men, women. That seemed to work pretty well today.
I thought they found a lovely formula there in the cross-country. It made the race exciting from start to finish, and it allowed so many more teams. We still had 8 teams within 4 seconds towards the very end of the race. Christensen just looking very much within himself, but he has to realize that Biathlon will be pulling the time back. In fact, Biathlon has pulled a huge amount of time back. Yeah, 9 seconds nearly taken back by Biathlon, but he's looking a little frustrated that he hasn't managed to shake off Sweden. But Ponsiluoma is as quick as Biathlon. He just doesn't shoot quite as well. Benny Vega, difficult position. He's on his own. He took over at 33, so he's gained 2 seconds on Christensen, who I think, Mike, looks as though he's just taking advantage of the fact that he's got that lead. He'll take the first lap steady and save something for a special final lap, which he's done on many occasions this year. And I think Bakken, Siva to Guten Bakken, he'll be a little disappointed. He nearly gave a 20-second lead, and already that's down sub 10-second lead. So Christensen really is taking it within himself very much. And Biathlon, as soon as he realizes that distance is closing by the meter, it'll feed him for more pressure and more dynamic movements in his technique. Well, these two had a battle yesterday in the mass start, and the Norwegian came out on top. Biathlon was the first to show his respect to what Christensen achieved. But it was an interesting final lap, wasn't it, Mike? Biathlon gaining on the uphills, Christensen gaining on the downhills and the flats. Yes, and Biathlon got it down to 4.8 seconds. Then it extended up to 7 seconds. It was incredible. But Christensen got the information. Okay, you need to pick the pace up. They're closing you down. So he's reacted immediately, and he's taken a open back a further second. 9.4 completed, coming towards the first shoot. 600 meters to go until they come into the range, and the high point has been passed, so a lot of it spent in the tuck position. And Christensen, to me, looks very much under control, but he had a hard race yesterday. He had to dig very, very deep. Now, I haven't seen Mazet without his cap on since he had his haircut, Mike. I'm slightly suspicious the whole lot's come off. Well, that was my thought. Quite a polished look, I think. He's looking a little concerned there. He must be wondering why is his athlete, why is Christensen taking this first lap very much within himself. Sweat in his eyes there without a hat or a headband, so that's never a good thing when you're about to look through the 1 millimeter sight. See how carefully he places that left shoulder, and then a good second and a half, maybe even 2 seconds spent just looking at the flags to try and work out why so many missed on the first shoot. But Christensen's first target is down. He works right to left as always. 3 down, no one else has struck a target yet. Is he going to be clear before the others start? Yes, he is. That's a very solid shoot. And Sweden, the next to strike. Biathlon, as always, taking his time with the first shot. He's learnt that when you ski as quick as him, you can take that luxury. So 3 out of 3, 4 out of 4 for Biathlon. Sweden are going to need a spare. Ponsiluoma, that was a careless miss. He was doing so well in the first 4, and Biathlon is away on his own. Do you know, I wanted to believe in Ponsiluoma there. When he got his 4th shot, he hesitated, and then I thought, oh, what a waste of time. He could have been out ahead of Biathlon. Yeah,
And instead, he comes out behind Austria. A little bit of skiing for Ponsaloma, so he's chasing the game, and that reduces his chances of hitting 5 in the stand. Switzerland in all sorts of trouble here, Mike.
Well, I didn't expect that from Benny Vega. Maybe it's the end of his career blues. He wanted so much today. He took a risk there with his fast shooting. Now he's had to back off and slow down.
Well, the spares seem to be fairly effective. Maybe just rushing the first 3 shots. He's had to slow it right down. That's a good effort, isn't it, Mike? You missed the first 3, hit the next 5.
Yes.
It required a change in focus.
It requires a lot of discipline as well to break that rhythm, to just think, okay, calm yourself down, make these count.
Yeah, Switzerland were up in 5th place. Now find themselves down in 8th, as you can see. Germany with a poor start. Good shooting from Benny Dole. The USA with Jake Brown on course, in danger of going on the penalty loop. No, they just sidestepped that one. In terms of penalties, no one in the top 12 teams has been on the loop so far. Poland have done 2. Italy have done 1. Romania have done 1. These are the targets of Christiansen.
I love that shooting routine. 2 breaths, and on the second breath it settles immediately on the target. He takes it straight away.
There are your top 10, 126 between them. The margins quite big for this stage. We saw a very close mass start in both the men and the women's yesterday. Always hoping for a sprint finish at the end of a biathlon. We haven't had so many. I think the best finish of the season, probably the mixed relay in the Olympics, wasn't it, Mike?
Oh, that was incredible when you had 3 teams down to, what, 1.5 seconds at the end of the race. And so much happened, so much pressure on that final shoot as well, for the Russian team, who had that massive lead.
And of course, 3rd going to 1st on that very last lap. Johannes Tingesbo doing what he does best, and out skiing the French and the Russians to claim the gold medal for Norway. Norway in the gold medal position at the moment here in Otepaeae. But what is the margin? It was 18 at the handover. It was down to 7 as they came into the range. And Otepaeae is now at 14, 15. He's going to be about 15.3. But the good news for France is they've got a little bit of a cushion over Sweden and Austria.
They have, and although Otepaeae has stated that he's very tired, they all are very tired, he still looks great on his skis. Ponsaloma, he's trying to close it down. It's 11 seconds deficit. That's quite a margin.
Yeah, it's a good race so far from the Austrians. They're 4th in the mixed relay standings. They got 2nd in the single mixed relay that we had in Oberhof, and that is where they've put their money today. Ada Hauser, they're a good combination. We've seen them at the race that we have in the Schalke Stadium just after Christmas. They often do well there.
They do. I'm very impressed today. Sklenaric, the young Slovakian, he's still got his team in 5th position, and Romania in 6th place. That's great to see the smaller nations coming up and in the top 6 at this part of the race.
Yeah, big nations that aren't doing so well. The Italians down in 15th place. They've been on the penalty loop. Poland down in 18. They're ranked number 9, so that's disappointing. And Germany, really the big surprise from early on. They've only missed 5, but they're down in. They were down in 11th position coming out of the range last time.
Yes, the Italian team, a late substitution for Bormolini. Beona had to take the first leg, and he didn't do so well. When you're not expecting to race, it's quite difficult bringing yourself up for this kind of challenge.
15.6. Last split was pretty much the same. Ponsaloma 11 seconds down. When he came out, he was only 8 seconds down on France, so starting to lose a little bit of ground. Christiansen with another standing shoot. His record this year has been very, very strong. 89% hit rate in the prone, 86 in the standing position.
Christensen taking 29 seconds from stop to start in his prone shooting. I would expect him to take at least 3 seconds off that time in his standing.
He's only missed one shot in the stands since the Olympic Games. Can he keep that record going?
The end of the rifle is just so incredibly steady. You believe in this man.
Well, he just yanked at that fourth one.
Just as Otepaeae got into position, did it put him off?
Didn't have any effect on him yesterday. Make sure this time, a chance for France to bring the gap down to under 10 seconds for the second time on this second leg, and Otepaeae will do just that. Out he comes. Good drills from the Frenchman. And a bit of pressure now on Christensen. This is the same situation that we had at the end of the mass start yesterday, and the time margin almost identical. Otepaeae has got to do it all over again, Mike.
It's 9.7 seconds. I think maybe this time Otepaeae will come alongside and maybe pass Christensen.
It's a slightly shorter loop, though, at 2.5K rather than 3. Austria, is their chance going to go? No, good shooting. Felix Leitner. I think he's the next generation of Austrians, isn't he, Mike? I'm not sure we're going to see the Eberhards in action again.
No, he is the next generation, and I thought we'd see more athletes coming through from their ski schools, their biathlon schools, their cross-country schools, which they developed somewhat 11, 12 years ago.
So a rare miss from Christensen. Mazet not overjoyed, but looks happy enough with that. They still have the lead. No mistakes from Otepaeae. That's the shot the crowd get. The distance between the barrel and the target, 50 meters.
Well, Christensen has really pressed hard from when he left the range, knowing full well that Otepaeae had a chance. So Christensen appears, with that easy first lap, he appears to have plenty energy left for this last 2.5 Ks.
Well, where's your money now, Mike? Because Norway have Eckhoff and Tandrevold. Tandrevold doesn't often take the anchor leg of a relay, so that will be a new experience. The French have Chloé Chevalier and the mass start Olympic champion Justine Brézard-Boucher on leg 4.
Well, yes, I think for me, you never know with Tiril Eckhoff. She performs very well individually. She performs less well when it comes to relays. But her form, her recent shooting form, her recent ski speed is all there. Would expect Tiril Eckhoff to have a good one today. And Tandrevold, I think she's a safe anchor leg. She's very safe with the rifle at the moment. Only missed 1 out of 20 yesterday.
9.7 was the gap between Norway and France. 9.7 was the gap between France and Sweden. It looks to me as though Ponsaloma is closing. And this, Mike, is where Christensen is reaping the benefits of having a steady, I didn't say slow, I meant steady first lap.
Yes, very clever, and that takes a lot of discipline when you're feeling your legs are not fatigued yet, to take the first lap within yourself, knowing full well that the teams behind you are closing down. That takes a lot of self-discipline.
Yeah, great pacing, and that's something that the Norwegians have done particularly well this year. Look at that, 6 seconds out of the #1 in the world. That takes some doing. What about Ponsaloma? He was at 18.6, now at 22.5, so he's lost time, but not as much as the French.
And this is good news for the Swedish team, with Lynn Persson next, and then Elvira Öberg on the anchor leg. Elvira looks so tired. She said she was tired, but she does state that her stand shooting is fantastic. She feels great about that.
34.14 on the clock, the winning time in the Olympics. 1 hour, 6 minutes and 45. The women going first in the Olympics. The men went first in Oberhof. Austria with Leitner now at 44 coming out of the range. I'm not sure he's managed to close too much of that down on the race leaders. And it is time for Tiril Eckhoff to get the skis on and just settle her mind before this relay. And I think she could do well to learn from what Christiansen has done today, Mike. Take that first lap steady. Don't worry if your lead is cut from 20 seconds down to 10.
Yes, it's about trying to manage and not stress in terms of your skiing. But I'll tell you what, Ponsiluoma, he may not be stressing, but he really is pressing hard, and he is closing down on Otepaeae.
Yeah, another 2 seconds lost for Otepaeae. Ponsiluoma back to 22.1, which is just a little bit up on where he was. So he's finishing quicker than anyone else, but still 22 seconds is at least 2 spare rounds. So that is the advantage that the Norwegians have at the moment. Eckhoff and Tandervold are the two that will have to try and hold on to this lead. It's been not a perfect performance with 4 spares required, but under these conditions, that's a fine performance by the Norwegians. I think they'll be happy with the way things have gone so far. Can they rely on Tiril Eckhoff?
Well, I think that was a little smile some 10 or 15 seconds ago, so she's certainly feeling happy about the job that the men have done, and that's a decent lead of 17 to 20 seconds by the time Otepaeae comes in.
So Norway are away. France will be second out of the exchange box. And as we mentioned, it is Chloe Chevalier who takes this third leg, often where you put your weakest athlete, but it's going to be very, very crucial today, especially with Lynn Persson of Sweden. Now, I think Persson of Sweden will get onto the heels of Chevalier, and she's shown some great ski form of late, and then she could give Elvira Oberg an opportunity.
I do. I agree with you. I think that Chloe Chevalier, the French athlete, just ahead of Lynn Persson, they're skiing quite similar in the most recent races we've seen, but Persson looked so strong yesterday.
Norway, France, Sweden, the top 3.
So Schweiger lining up her last race. It was the sprint race. She shot 0 and then missed 3 out of 5 standing. That could be a little concern in the back of her mind, but she does have 3 spare rounds today. So Austria safely in 4th position. And Schweiger, she skis well. I think she'll not lose much time to Sweden and France on the track. But the concern may be her shooting. Davidova for Czech Republic ready to go. Germany coming back into it. So Germany and Benny Dahl, time-wise, he hasn't gained any, but he's moved up in terms of position. So Austria, Czech Republic, Germany, Switzerland and Bulgaria. So Switzerland still in there, actually in 7th place. Bulgaria 145 behind, quite large margins now separating these teams from the lead teams. So second exchange, and some of the shooting for these teams coming in now. Estonia, that's good, coming in well in their ranking position. Their bib number 10, that's the ranking from this season, handing over in 10th, so that's okay. So out on the track and now for the first of the women's legs in this race. They're covering the same distance. So here we have it. After the second exchange, it's Norway, France and Sweden. Only 22 seconds separating the first 3 teams. And then quite a margin back as we look down to Austria and the rest of the chasing teams. Austria at 1:15, Czech Republic 1 minute 41. And Germany moving up into 6th place from quite a poor start. But now they have Vanessa Voigt and Denise Herrmann taking legs 3 and 4. Very strong athletes, very accurate shooting. So they really are on-form athletes for the German team. Well, Tiril Eckhoff, she's looking at the moment within herself and relaxed. just taking this first 2.5 kilometers. So the women are skiing exactly the same distance as the men, 3 times around this 2.5 kilometer track. So Eckhoff been giving the information there, giving the information on France, and the information is, well, France have pulled back a couple of seconds, and Sweden pulling back some 3.8 seconds. So Eckhoff did look a little concerned there, but I think she can easily press her pace a little stronger on this track. So all that work, climbing up 31 meters, rise from the shooting range up to the high point. Now it's an easy part of the track, back to the range. So the format now, so the first time in, it's prone shooting. Any targets missed after your 5 bullets in your first magazine, you can then hand feed the 3 spare rounds if required. And if you still have targets remaining, it's the penalty loop. And unfortunately, Poland have been on the penalty loop 3 times, Italy 1 time, and Finland 1 time around the penalty loop. So only 4 teams have missed targets after the 3 spare rounds, and that's expensive, having then to ski an extra 150 meters as the penalty loop. So another little climb on the track here, and then a very easy descent down, and allowing the athletes to get their breathing under control prior to the first shooting. I think Eckhoff has actually started pressing a little harder now. She has fantastic discipline to hold herself back a little on the first lap, open up a little more on the second lap, and then full pace on her 3rd lap of 2.5. So Lynn Persson, mission accomplished, just tucking in behind Chloe Chevalier. And I thought Lynn Persson did so well yesterday, finishing 4th. I was really hoping she could press through to the podium. She was nearly there, less than a second. But clearly on form. That was the mass start yesterday, over 12.5 kilometers. Actually, tough weekend of racing for the women. 7.5 kilometers on Friday, 12.5 yesterday, 7.5 again today. And then it all starts again in Oslo on Thursday. So it's coming towards the end of the season. And the women well, get the day off in between. They have the sprint on Thursday, then a day off for the women, and then the pursuit on Saturday, and the mass starts on Sunday. So back to the range, and their coaches, Mazet, well, he must be feeling okay, quite comfortable, in fact, that Norway are leading by, well, at last time check, it was 19 seconds. I think Tiril Eckhoff may have opened that up to 20 as she comes in for her first shoot. Have a look at the wind flags, 5 grams they weigh, they just flutter in the breeze. She's seen how the wind's affecting or not affecting the shots. It's pretty calm right now. What a great start, no time wasted with any spare rounds required. So Tiril Eckhoff in and out, rapid fire. A little pressure now put on France and Sweden. They're aware, fully aware that Eckhoff is now out and skiing, avoiding the penalty loop. Well, Chloe Chevalier, you can see there, she's missed the first. She got the next 4, but Lynn Persson, that's very, very controlled and good discipline there. And see the flags, they are dead still, so it is easier when the wind isn't affecting the bullet as it travels down the 50 meters, or you, the biathlete, as the rifle extends out in front of your body. Now this is building into some pressure for Chloe Chevalier. She had to take her time, but it paid off. Patrick Fabre there on the radio, the Italian coach for the French team. He's done a good job. And well, look at the time lost there. She came in at 19 seconds deficit, and losing so much time on the range. So opportunity, Austria, Czech Republic, and now Germany. Vanessa Voigt hasn't missed a shot so far out of 30 shots fired here in Otepaeae. Schweiger pressing hard, the Austrian. Oh, when you miss your first 3 targets, she's pulling the sights back now. And that's a real shame for Austria. And a huge pressure on Schweiger now, especially with Davidova, 5 out of 5. With Vanessa Voigt as expected, again, 5 out of 5. And what a pity for Austria. They were in 4th place, but that is changing now dramatically. Bulgaria in and out, rapid. Good to see Bulgaria performing so well today. Schweiger, 2 targets remaining, 1 round left, so it is penalty loop time coming up. It is indeed, and that's annoying, depressing, and spirit-breaking. So Vanessa Voigt, the time is still much the same, 1:45 behind the lead, but she's moved up 1 place. Have you ever seen shooting quite like that? Susan Coombe at home, she knows this range so well, and that was fearless. Just try and get a time, 27 seconds actually, so she took some time in terms of building her position, but then less than 2 seconds in between each shot. Fabulous day at home for the Estonian team, up into 8th position. Schweiger from 5th to 9th with the spare rounds used, and that's a huge setback for the Austrian team. Eckhoff, just so calm, looking down the range there, checking the wind flags. And no problems whatsoever. Mazet just giving the news, the good news out to the coaches around the track, around the 2.5-kilometer track. So back out on the track, well, the news is that Eckhoff is clear by 25 seconds. Then Lim Persson has pulled some time back at 25 seconds with good shooting. Chevalier is now at 50 seconds behind. Then we have to go 1:42 behind to reach the 4th team, and that's the Czech Republic. 1:42 behind in 4th place. So Eckhoff just been given the information there, and her brain will just be calculating that, okay, that gives me, if required, a penalty loop, and I'll still be out 1st position. I'm quite sure, actually, she won't even consider going on the penalty loop. The wind and the conditions are easy today. And isn't it wonderful? And the athletes have all been saying how brilliant it is with tired legs to be getting so much support all the way around the tracks here. Otepaeae, the spectators really lifting the feeling here at the 2nd last World Cup of the season. So Chloé Chevalier, she was 50 seconds as she left the range. She's now 52 seconds behind. Lim Persson, though, has lost 9 seconds to Tyrell Eckhoff's faster skiing. Well, the coaches, it has to be positive information, just saying you are closing down on Lim Persson. She is tired, and Lim Persson, such a great performance yesterday, 4th place in the mass start. Those legs must be a little tired today. I love these aerial shots we're getting in Otepaeae. Just get a good sense of the track profile, or maybe not so much the profile when you're looking from above, but exactly how far back the athletes are. So nice calm information there this time for Tyrell Eckhoff, because it's good news. She's 34 seconds ahead, and that should be no problem for Eckhoff. We have, I mentioned earlier, seen over the years Tyrell Eckhoff struggling a little sometimes in relays, more so in relays than in her individual races. Lim Persson still keeping the rhythm and the technique going. She's a nurse, or qualifying as a nurse, but over the last 4 or 5 years it's mostly been about biathlon and biathlon training. And you have to put in so many hours, spend the whole year training to get to this level and maintain this level throughout a full racing season. So just, although we're watching the top 3 athletes here, the deficit time, well, it's 37 seconds now for Lynn Persson. And 54, so Tirolekov just beginning to break the athletes chasing her, trying to get as much advantage for Tandrevold when she hands over to her in 2.5 kilometers time. In between now and then, there's just this little issue of 5 shots in the stand position. Any of the targets missed, as I've said, you still have 3 spare extra rounds to use. So, Tirolekov, quite a widespread in her stance position, a little wider than most. Good elbow, left elbow, just above the hip bone there. And I think this is going to be fast. Little lucky there, that was an edge shot at 12 o'clock. That was very wide at 9 o'clock by some 4 centimeters. And an edge. 1 centimeter at 2 o'clock. She'll be fully aware that Lynn Persson is alongside her now. That can add pressure. Second spare round loaded fast. And she's off. I was very impressed there with Eckhoff. When you miss 2 out of 5, the brain starts going into panic mode a little, but she kept calm with the 2 spare rounds. Oh, Lynn Persson could so much have done with putting the 5th shot down. She's had to pick up a spare. Fabulous drills there. Rapid spare round into the chamber. Rapid fire. And she's pulled herself a long way back in terms of time deficit. Chloe Chevalier. 4 out of 4. Hesitated maybe by 4 seconds, but it paid off. She got the last shot down. And although Davidova yesterday shooting so well, hitting 18 out of 20, she now feels that she'll have to rapid fire to close these lead times down. So, Davidova in the sprint competition, Davidova missing 50% of her targets out of 10 shots fired, but it was much better yesterday. And Vanessa Voigt yet to miss a target here. She's fired 37 shots now. Brilliant from Davidova. No problem at all. Egil Kjelland there. He's Norwegian, working for the Czech Republic team. Mark Kirchner, former world champion many times, scoping for the German team. And Voigt, as expected, incredible shooting. 40 shots fired, 40 targets hit here in Otepaeae. Now there'll be a big cheer here, as expected, for Susan Kulm. Bib number 10, Estonia doing very well. So Bulgaria, already targets missed, but 2 spare rounds used to make sure all 5 targets went down. The cheering is for Susan Kulm. She's not used to this. She hasn't heard it over the last 2 years at any venue. Oh, she thought that was a hit, and she's had to break position and put a spare round in. What a shame. She could have been out in 7th. She may still be out in 7th. Isn't that strange? You're under control. Your breathing's under a little more control. Excellent. So Estonia, this is good news. They're ranked 10th and moving up into 7th place. And look at the amount of targets missed. A wind coming through the range for this part of the race. So Voigt is away in 5th position for Germany. Todorova in 6th, and Susan Kulm ranked 10th, the Estonian team. But well, I was going to say the home pressure, the home advantage is paying off. She's up into 7th position now. So Norway very comfortable at the front. Lynn Persson pulling some time back with her good shooting, and finds herself 21 seconds behind as she left the range. I would imagine that will extend maybe to 27 seconds when we get up to this split timing at 21.2 kilometers. Eckhoff, I mentioned earlier, she paces so well. She takes the first lap fast, but within herself. She opens up on the middle lap of 2.5, and now it's full pace for the final 2.5. Eckhoff trying to get an advantage for Tandrevold, the anchor leg. So it was 21 actually seconds for Lynn Persson. 27, 28.2. Lynn Persson is absolutely digging deep now. This is really uncomfortable pace now for Persson. And another fabulous performance leading into the final World Cup next Thursday, the sprint race in Oslo for the women. Chevalier. Chloe Chevalier, she really is digging deep as well. She was 36 seconds actually. She's lost some 4 seconds to this point. And Eckhoff just completely and utterly in that zone, trying to extend the lead to over 30 seconds to give Tandrevold the comfort, the safety blanket of 30 seconds. Davidova, that's okay, and still a chance when you're in 4th position at 1:19 behind. She'll be thinking with Jessica Yislova, anchor leg, that they still have a chance for a podium here. And Vanessa Voigt, well, her ski speed has improved massively as the season has progressed. Her strength is her shooting, though. And with Denise Herrmann on the anchor leg, it's okay. That's a good time for Voigt. So, absolutely full pace on the last of the climbs for Tiril Eckhoff. Wonderful tempo and frequency there from Lynn Persson, just keeping the fight going, knowing full well that she's got Elvira Öberg, who won yesterday, as the anchor leg today for Sweden. And anything can happen when Elvira Öberg, the 23-year-old, she's done so well. Didn't have a victory in World Cup racing until this season, and now she has 4 victories. The season could not have gone better. 2 Olympic silver medals and an Olympic gold medal in the relay. Elvira Öberg can do no wrong. Chloe Chevalier now at 48 seconds behind. So Tiril Eckhoff, Norway, coming in with a decent lead of 30 seconds. I thought she might press it up all the way to 30 seconds. That's a comfortable lead for Tandrevold to be breaking free with. So Tandrevold on the anchor leg for Norway. Tandrevold, well, yesterday she shot well, only missing 1 shot out of the 20 shots fired. So she's a safe anchor leg, you would expect. She had some issues at the Olympics. It was issues with the altitude, the thin and the dry air there, and she really did suffer in some of the races. So Elvira Öberg, she won yesterday, she won the mass start yesterday, she feels great about her shooting, and off she goes. So Sweden, .31 seconds behind for Sweden, and Chloe Chevalier just losing more and more time, down to 51 seconds, but still in bronze medal position. Breza Boucher will pull some time back. So Breza Boucher, for me, she may well pull some 8 seconds back on the lead time of Norway, of Tandrevold. And all the time, Yislova just waiting and waiting, just hoping that the work to be done isn't too much. Certainly, it's possible, still possible for the Czech Republic. Yislova has been shooting so well, still possible for a top 3. But Denise Herrmann may have another and a different opinion on that outcome. So 140 behind, and most of that time deficit came on the first leg. Roman Rees struggling, using 5 spare rounds. So this was the exchange. The lead team, Norway, they won in Oberhof. On that occasion, it was Tarjei Bo and Johannes Tingesbro. They won by 23 seconds. They're ahead by 31 now.
Fifth and Germany, 1 minute 40.2 seconds behind. Sixth and Bulgaria, 2 minutes 12.8 seconds behind.
So Tandrevold still keeping the pace strong. It was 31.7 seconds. I think Elvira may have closed that down a little. So welcome back, Elvira Öberg trying to nibble, break into that lead time of 31 seconds just to put Tandrevold under pressure. Look at the distance there. That's 31 seconds. And Elvira Öberg will feel it's a huge amount of work to try and close down. And these are athletes ahead of Tandrevold, sadly, who are about to be lapped. It's Japan, and that's a real pity. So about to be lapped, and that's Sari Maeda. They started well, the Japanese team, but unfortunately they will have to pull out as Tandrevold comes past. If she does, I think she will. Tandrevold with fresh legs. This is her first 2.5. Maeda, it's her last leg of 2.5 before she hands over. So let's have a look at what the time deficit is now. Has Elvira Öberg managed to close down? I don't think she has, actually. I thought she might have attacked from the get-go, but she's lost some 3 seconds. Is Elvira Öberg being economical, expecting to push harder as the race goes on? Or is Tandrevold just panicking slightly with a very fast first lap of 2.5? As expected, Brisa Boucher, she departed at 51.1. She's got it down to 47.5. And Denise Herrmann and well, Jislova, Czech Republic ahead of Herrmann at the moment. But as expected, Denise Herrmann closing down. She was 15 seconds behind Jislova, and you could just see how much there. We'll see exactly as they come through this checkpoint, but physically you can see how much she has pulled those 15 seconds back. So Jislova, Czech Republic, 4th position, 136.1 behind Denise Herrmann. She's closed it down from 15 seconds to 4 seconds, just over 4 seconds. Jislova would have expected that to happen, so I don't think she'll be panicking, and she'll have to bring her magic to the shooting part of her biathlon. The combination of two complete opposites, the endurance, the physical push, and many experts saying it's the sport which puts out the most energy. Skiing with the rifle on, cross-country skiing recognized by many as the sport which chews up most energy. And then you have to switch off, completely switch to the most precision and accurate marksman as you possibly can. Normally, when it comes to Olympic summer shooting, the pulse rate is at very, very calm levels. This is anything but calm. The heartbeat is ticking away there, just some 10, 15 beats below absolute maximum as you're out on the track. They can't ride at absolute maximum. That's only on one simple push, but they're existing 10, 15 below max. And as they start shooting, the pulse is only about 20 beats below absolute maximum. So around 175 as they release the first shot. So Tandrevold, fully aware what she has to achieve here. And ideally, it's 5 shots fired and 5 targets down. She does have the 3 spare rounds, though, as a safety. She's a left-hander. Only about 5% of the biathletes are left-handers. Oh, that was lucky. The target just slowly moved over. It was a half hit at 10 o'clock. Well, I said ideally 5 out of 5. She may not have expected anything less. So Tandrevold, so far so good. Pressure now on Elvira Öberg and Brézat-Boucher as she comes in. They know full well that Tandrevold is out and away. So the winner from yesterday's mass start, Elvira Öberg, into position. Brézat-Boucher, the Olympic champion in the mass start from the Olympic Games. Can she find her shooting ways as she did on that day? Yes, she can. Rapid fire from Brézat-Boucher. Hesitated, but it worked. Elvira Öberg had to use 2 of the 3 spare rounds and losing some 20 seconds in that process. Well, Brézat-Boucher, she's on the tail of Elvira Öberg's skis, and I think Brézat-Boucher may well move ahead as Denise Herrmann comes in ahead of Jíslova. So Jíslova will need to get the perfect 5 out of 5 for a chance to go ahead again of Denise Herrmann. Have a look at the flag. So the wind has picked up just a little, and as has been the case for the previous days, the wind influence is from the left here. Denise Herrmann always shooting left to right. Most biathletes shooting right to left in prone shooting. Jíslova's missed one already. Oh, Denise Herrmann. Well, since the Olympic Games, she found how to relax and take pressure off her shoulders because it was not helping her biathlon. And Herrmann is carrying that winning formula through again today. She came... Herrmann finished second yesterday in the mass start, and now just moving Germany from 5th up into 4th position here in the mixed relay. Sunshine making everybody happy. They're sharing a little joke, Patrick Fabre and Mazet. So back out on the track, it's the second rotation of 2.5 kilometers, and Tandrevold finds herself in a lovely lead position. Elvira Öberg having to use 2 spare rounds as expected. Brézat-Boucher moving ahead of Elvira Öberg. Whoa, well, look at that. Elvira taking the better race line there on the inside on the right. Now, what about the glide factor? Well, Elvira Öberg, skis looking good. She's resting as far into this next climb. And they very much ski the same pace, Brézat-Boucher and Elvira Öberg. And Elvira really has said she is so tired. So much energy went into all of her races this season. And what a fabulously successful season it has been for Elvira Öberg. So it was 49 seconds for Tandrevold. Well, you just feel at 49 seconds Tandrevold can relax, but often you find in biathlon, even though you have that massive lead, we saw that at the Olympics on occasions when there was a lead. The Russian team had a lead of 43 seconds going into the final shoot. Didn't work out on that occasion. So often it's a reverse pressure, isn't it? You've got more to lose than you have to gain. But the chasing athletes, I don't think they've settled for second place, but they just can't close down rapidly, can't close down those 49 seconds. In fact, Tandrevold is actually opening up the pace. That's incredible. She's opened up the pace, extending the lead by 2 seconds to this point. I'm a little surprised. Maybe they have settled for second place, but I doubt it. It's in their DNA to keep on fighting and trying to. And the thing about biathlon, you never know what's going on ahead of you. You never know if Tandrevold is going to have a a bad moment on the range, missing targets, and very quickly you can pull time back in biathlon. But second and third place here for France and Sweden. It's a long way back. It's 55 seconds back at the last time of checking for Denise Herrmann in fourth place. So they really are quite safe in second and third place here for France and Sweden. Further back, so Denise Herrmann for Germany's in fourth, Czech Republic in fifth, Fialkova and Slovakia, Paulina Fialkova, up into sixth position. That's good from their ranking of 13th. And Kinnunen, Finland, they missed they went round the penalty loop early, so Finland doing a grand job pulling themselves back up into seventh. And Austria ranked eighth in eighth position at the moment. Talaherm for Estonia. They've used 10 spare rounds, the Estonian team, but they're in ninth position, and Bulgaria in 10th. The American team further ahead. Deidre Irwin has placed the American team in 12th place from a 20th ranking. Now, have they closed down? Yes, they have. It was 52 seconds, so a slight gain there. A turnaround of 3 seconds as Tandrevold comes into the range for the very last time. The mixed relay and the final day of racing here in Otepaeae. What a great job the organising committee have done. I love the tracks here, and it's just such a wonderful feel-good factor having spectators in the stadium. So, 5 shots to go for Norway to maintain this lead. It's a massive lead of 49 seconds. Little wobble in the rifle from Tandrevold. Oh, you just felt as each shot went on, there was a little more movement, but she still looks very composed and calm. A little lucky, that was an edge shot, low left, but it was enough. The half shot spilt onto the counterweighted target and put it down. She's away, and France and Sweden now know that there is no chance of winning today. The fight is now on for second place. Tandrevold with 2.5 to go. Now then. Elvira Öberg stating at the press conference, the press meeting last night after her victory, that the stand shooting just feels so firm, so confident. Is it 5 out of 5? Of course it is. Brézat-Boucher, just a hesitation. She thought about it and missed the last shot. Elvira Öberg, it is brilliant shooting. Now the chase is on. Elvira Öberg so tired. What she got, maybe some 6 seconds. It won't be much. And Brézat-Boucher will be trying to close this. What is it? Well, it's 9 seconds. 9 seconds is a huge task over 2.5 kilometers at this level. They know they're pretty closely matched. Patrick Fabre just saying, okay, we have to accept it. And maybe, just maybe, Brézat-Boucher can pull the French team up into second. So Tandrevold so calmly placing the one spare round in the chamber. She's been given the information without a doubt that she's 49 seconds ahead, and that's a very comfortable place to be. So the final leg, Tandrevold is clear by some 49 seconds. So Norway, yet again, they've won the last 3 World Cup mixed relays. And very much looks like it's 4 in a row for the Norwegian team. Now then, let's have a look at the times here. It's going to be a real old ding-dong of a fight on the tracks. Brézat-Boucher has tried so hard to close the gap quickly. And you just see her suffering here in the soft snow as the sun is on the track, although beginning to go down now at 2:45 local time. So Brézat-Boucher, she has a lot of work to do. Elvira Öberg It's often a bad sign with that long look over her right shoulder, but it's good news. This has to be too large a deficit to close. I think France may have to just settle for third place. They were second. In fact, the French team were actually third. I was going to say second, but they were third in Oberhof just after Christmas. Saturday, the 8th of January. Well, it's not over yet. Biathlon, she'll never give up. She'll never give in. And Elvira Öberg, from winning yesterday, the legs are tired. Her mind is tired. And only 3 more races to go after today in Oslo. And boy, will they be so looking forward to a break at the end of the season. I think Tandervold has had a fabulous race, and she's taken this anchor leg. Often it can be such a pressurized leg as an athlete. It was a huge lead which she was given. The team members worked so hard to gain. Sivert Guttern back in, had a great start. He led by some 19 seconds. And then Christensen, and then Tyrell Eckhoff. So a fabulous quartet there. So Elvira Öberg, well, it was 35 deficit as she left the range. She's close to 27. But Breza Boucher is still 9 seconds behind Elvira Öberg. Breza Boucher, the Olympic champion in the mass start in Beijing, the last day of racing. Her previous races, they didn't give any indication that she was going to shoot so well on the mass start with respect, but she said just didn't even think about it. Coming into the range the last time, I didn't care. I just felt so relaxed. Quite incredible under the Olympic pressure. So Tandervold actually will be feeling great about her biathlon as she makes her way back to Oslo, her home, after the tough race here, the final day of racing in Otepaeae. Still one more race to go, though, the single mixed relay. Austria will wear bib number 1, Simon Eder and Lisa Theresa Hauser. They've been so successful in single mixed relays with their fast shooting, their accurate shooting. But, of course, Tandervold will play no part in that competition. Coach getting a little too close for my liking there. And just so excited that it's another victory for Norway. The resource, the coaches around the track from Norway, the technicians to get the perfect combination of ski base and wax on the base to make them glide well. And it's paid off as Tandervold makes her way into the stadium and to the finish line. And only 7 spare rounds, not the best in terms of the shooting teams. That goes to Team 17. They only used, Team 17, Romania have only used 4 spare rounds. That's incredible shooting performance in difficult conditions. But the Norwegians have been fabulous. A total of 7, I should say, spare rounds required as Tandervold comes in to take the victory on a sunny and warm day with the spectators back in Otepaeae. Christensen there delighted. He won yesterday, he's won again today as part of a quartet. So the women taking the anchor leg today, and Eckhoff and Tandervold so strong, not showing any weakness on the track nor on the range. And another victory for Norway. What a team, back in Christensen, Eckhoff and Tandervold. Well, Sweden had a chance, it looked good throughout the race, but have to settle for 2nd position. Athletes for Ukraine from Mazet on his chest there, that's good to see, and they certainly are for Ukraine. As France come across the line, only 34 seconds behind. Breza Boucher gasping for air, couldn't get enough air in and couldn't close those 9 seconds to Sweden. Well, we have to look a long way back for Germany and Denise Herrmann. And sadly for the German team and for Roman Rees, sadly most of the lost time came on leg one. And then you really are chasing the game for Benny Doll. He shot well, but he couldn't pull much time back. And, well, what a day. So Herrmann, she tried, she shot well, and the German team overall only missing 6 targets, 6 spare rounds, the same as the French team. Sweden using 8 spare rounds. So the top 5 teams, and Czech Republic will be coming in 5th place. They only used 8 spare rounds as well. What a fabulous feeling for the athletes. They've all said it, how important it is for them to have spectators back. It just adds a lovely dimension to your racing, and it makes racing that little easier. So the closing stages of the 4 by 7.5 mixed relay. The male athletes taking the first 2 legs, the female athletes the anchor legs. Well done to the Czech Republic, ranked 7th, now today finishing 5th, that's okay. And good shooting overall as a quartet, 8 spare rounds used. Well, there are the podium teams for the memorable photos of the beautiful conditions in Otepaeae. Great to see Fialkova back and racing well, and really, really good to see Slovakia lifting their performances from rank 17th, and they'll be crossing the line in 8th position. Well, beg your pardon, Paulina doing so well, really has moved up the rankings, so Slovakia up into 6th position. My apologies, 3:30 behind. Thumbs up, quite right. And I think with 3 races left, I think that Paulina Fialkova can be feeling very good. Her sister took the 3rd leg. She did well today. Sklenarik did well on the 2nd leg. And Mikael Sima did so well on the lead out, the mass start. Austria 4:09 behind. 1 penalty loop for the Austrians. Well, as Austria come across the line, 4:09 behind, they missed 1 target completely and had to make their way around the penalty loop. 9 spare rounds used for the Austrian team. Finland, Kiinanen coming in. Nastasia Kiinanen, she lives up in Joensuu. And that's the city close to Kontiolahti, where the athletes have recently just traveled over from. Former Belarus athlete, now married and racing for Finland. So Finland 8th, that's okay. And Heikki taking Switzerland just under 5 minutes behind the winning time today. Switzerland also on the penalty loop, and some 16 spare rounds for Switzerland. Bulgaria, only 1 of the athletes on the penalty loop, and 7 spare rounds. Well, I thought on a great day, the American team, or a very good day, could place in the top 5. But just coming in 11th position today. 13 spare rounds used, but no penalty loops for the American team. 17 started well. Romania shooting incredibly well. The best shot of the day with only 4 spare rounds used. And a big cheer for Estonia, as we'd expect. The first time ever a World Cup coming here, and certainly the feeling is good. The friendship and the bond between biathletes, it's almost feels like family. You're around these athletes, you're on the same bus up to stadiums, and then same accommodation, on the same range. You get to know everybody so well. Well, Otepaeae, there he is. He did well, as he's done well all season. He took the second leg today for France, but they weren't good enough as a quartet to catch the Norwegians. Well done to Estonia, well done to the fans coming out. Johanna Talaherm taking the anchor leg. Share the love, especially with what's going on just across the border. And in a sense, well, the Russian athletes, the Belarus athletes not being allowed here, and I do feel for them. It's not their fault. It's their leaders that are creating the hassle and the strife for Ukraine. And I think it's okay. It's good that sport continues even in such tough times. Italy, well, you can see the bib number there, ranked 5th. But not such a good day today. And Italy, actually the last team that have not been lapped. The Italians finish 7:20 behind and in 14th position. So there we have it. Norway winning by 22.5, ahead of Sweden, and France third place, 34.6 behind. Germany, after a very poor start, could not find their way back into the race to challenge the podiums. They have to settle with 4th today. And the lap teams: Slovenia, Poland, Moldova, Japan, Latvia and Kazakhstan. So one more race to go. It's the single mixed relay. Austria will be wearing bib number 1. Simon Eder and Lisa Theresa Hauser. It'll be nice to catch up with the winning team, or at least one of the winning team athletes, just to get a feel for how they felt today. Clearly they feel great now that they've won the race. So sad to say there's only one World Cup to go remaining this season. So good to see the fans. And they've organised everything so well, including the weather here in Otepaeae. So 20 teams started out, and Norway showed the focus and the determination very early on, back in, forcing a lead on the range and on the track. Then it was Christensen's turn. The sweat getting in his eyes, not wearing a headband or a hat today in the heat here in Otepaeae. It didn't put him off. Otepaeae looked to be closing down, but not quite strong enough to close completely. So Norway, with France chasing, Cyril Ekhoff could do no wrong. Sweden slowly, with Lynn Persson managing to move up into 2nd place. And then it was Tandrevold's turn to take the pressure. So it was still a very safe and comfortable lead throughout the race. And very good and accurate shooting. Mazet sharing a joke with Patrick Favre. Ekhoff requiring a spare round, but no chance of being caught. Breza Boucher didn't quite make it happen on the range, needed a spare round. And Elvira Öberg is just such a safe athlete when it comes to stand shooting. She secured the 2nd place. And France, 34 seconds behind.
Congratulations. It seems like you're getting pleased to bring home the victory for Norway.
Yes, it was a very very tough race today, and I was very nervous because I knew today that on the last leg there were Elvira and Denise and Justine, all very good skiers, and I knew our team expected to win today, so especially to beat Sweden for the Women's Nation Cup, so I felt a lot of pressure today.
It's a tough track and 3 competitions in 3 days. How did you find the energy today?
Well, I think we had the most incredible skis in the course today, and I saw on the 3 first legs that we had incredible skis, so I just trusted my skis and that me on top of them had some power left.
Well, you surely did. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, very interesting, isn't it? She knew full well that the quality of Elvira Öberg and Brezab Boucher chasing down, and also Denise Herrmann, so she had to keep strong, but the Norwegian skis were gliding so well today. Well, there we are, the mixed relay score. Norway had to win today, as Sweden had to win to take the title, but of course it falls to the Norwegians. So well done to Norway. And there we have the rankings all the way down. 27 teams have taken part throughout the season in this relay score. So, but well done to Norway. So strong throughout, no weaknesses whatsoever. And they were delighted, no penalty loop having to be skied around today. Well, there we have the men's, the Nation Cup score. It's Norway, France, Germany, Sweden leading the way after 18 competitions. Well, only one more race to go here, and it's the single mixed relay. And the next one is the single mixed relay. You can see it there, the one male athlete, one female athlete. That's coming up at 15:15 the hour, 15:15 Central European and Central European time, 2:15 in the UK if you're watching. I'm sure we're in for another fabulous race. Can Austria keep bib number 1? Will Sweden chase them? Is it the Norwegians again? We'll have to wait and see.
tihe konkurents kahe naaberriigi, kahe kõva suusa- ja talispordi ja laskesuusatamise riigi Norra ja Rootsi vahel.
Ja nägime, et meie naised võitlevad siis Ukraina ja Ameerika Ühendriikide koondistega nagu võrdne võrdselt, et seal on ka loetud punktide vahet, et kindlasti tuleb Oslos head tulemused teha, et sellegi
Well, the Norwegian quartet, no penalty loop, 7 spare rounds used, and a winning time of 1 hour, 19 minutes and 39.3 seconds. So the World Cup will depart Otepaeae, and I think that without a doubt, it really has passed every test. The tracks are good, the conditions have been fabulous, and what a contrast to the cold temperatures the athletes had to suffer at the Olympic Games. And they really have thoroughly enjoyed racing here. There's been smiles, there's been cheer, and all the way around the track. I think it's been wonderful to see so many spectators making their way out onto the track to cheer all the athletes, not just their own favourites, but to cheer all the athletes around the track. So the podium coming up. And again, Norway standing tall at the top of the world. Sweden tried, and let's be honest, the margins were tiny. Lots of Swedish fans having made the journey over here. And it is quite so nice to see an international following here in the stadium once again. Borut Nunar on the right there, a race director. He's had a busy season, as have the athletes and all the staff from IBU. And once again, just bringing a lot of happiness to a lot of people, and especially with spectators being allowed once again back into the stadiums. weary athletes making their way to the podium. And maybe not even much effort left to jump up on position 3, 2 and 1. Otepaeae, what a season he has had.
Otepaeae maailmakarikasarja võistluskomitee esimees. Mixed relay competition and the third place, kolmas koht, Prantsusmaa, France.
So here we have it, the French team. It was close, very close indeed. Only 34 seconds behind after 1 hour 20, almost 1 hour 20 of racing. But their third place, 3 very strong teams at the front. The quartet, they work well together. Simon Détieux, Quentin Fillon-Maillet, Chloé Chevalier and Justine Brizat-Boucher. No major problems on the range, as expected in these fairly easy conditions. Only leg 1 actually, where the wind picked up and came quite strong from the left. It upset a number of the athletes. So France taking third place.
Second place,
Sweden, well, at one point it looked like they could make a comeback. Elvira Öberg, if she had the ski speed she had in December, she may have closed the gaps down, but those tired legs held her back a little today. But the shooting in terms of standing was incredible, to move from third into second place. Elvira, many fans with her 4 wins this season, the 2 Olympic silver medals and the 1 relay Olympic gold medal for Sweden in the women's relay at the Olympics. So there they are. Jesper Nellen led out, then Martin Ponsiluoma, he skied so hard on his leg. Lim Persson is incredibly in great form as they all get respected here. And the anchor leg, Elvira Öberg. She's still only 23. We're going to see such an incredible career, I think, from Elvira Öberg. She found her winning ways this year. But it's all about Norway taking the relay title and getting the cheer here in the stadium. Incredible. It seems as if they can put any quartet in at all. It was Tarjei Bo, Johannes Tingesbo back in early January with Tandrevold and Roysland. Today it's well, almost a completely different team with Bakken, Christensen, Eckhoff and Tandrevold. The skis were great. The shooting was up there with the best. And when their skis are good and they shoot at this high standard, they're unstoppable. Well done to Team Norway. So as the Norwegians take position number 1. Yes, Thursday it's the women's sprint race in Oslo. Friday the men's sprint race in Oslo. Saturday it's both pursuit competitions. And on Sunday, closing off the fabulous racing season with the mass starts. Dignitaries just congratulating the Norwegian team. Well, thanks for your company. Just one more race to go. And it's the single mixed relay coming up shortly. The athletes will go through their centering, their zeroing of the rifles and preparing for the final race in Otepaeae. Norway, Sweden and France on the podium in the mixed relay. So job done for many of the athletes. Just 2 athletes per nation left in the single mixed relay coming up. So thanks very much for your company and see you again in just over an hour. Goodbye for now.